the position that I was put in, it was more like, well, I have to do it to protect my family.
That if you didn't help them, then they would do it themselves and get arrested.
Exactly.
If there is a victim in a group of bad guys, she would be a victim.
He didn't approach her initially. He used Hayden to convince Abby to going along with the plan to rob banks.
What exactly did they ask you to do to help?
Just drive.
Okay. When you say drive, I mean
Like getaway drive.
the getaway car?
Yeah.
Did they ask you to do anything else?
No, never, and never, not once.
She's being made to believe, it's nothing, you're just driving the car, kiddo.
He just said it. I mean, we need a getaway driver to drive. And
Because we're gonna rob a bank.
yeah.
But what anyone knows who follows crime and justice is that you can just be the passenger in a getaway car and still be equally responsible to anyone who's inside that bank.
Did it seem like Abby was comfortable in her role as getaway driver?
Absolutely not. I know that it was only the influence of me and my father that pushed Abby to that.
I don't think anybody in their right mind would really understand how you get your children.
It made you feel better when I told you the guns were fake.
Dad would get hurt, or Hayden would get hurt, or they might hurt someone during this?
Honestly, no. No, I don't think they would hurt anyone, and I don't think anyone would hurt them, but that's not true.
But it shouldn't come as a big surprise for you that you're going to have some legal consequences.
No, it's not. No, I don't. I understand that.
Now, both of these kids are facing big trouble and big prison sentences. At the same time, Scott is starting to scheme. He's trying to get them to do more time so that he can do less time. Why don't you read something for me? This is your letter to Abby, by the way.
Where did you get this?
Now, they're only indicted for their second robbery in Texas, that heist at the First Community Credit Union.
How many sins must I confess?
And they're facing 5 to 99 years in prison.
Texas, like most states, has an accomplice liability law. If you intended to be part
family, and now they're in this Texas jail, Hayden and Abby's lives are already completely changed.
I never thought about jail or any of the repercussions from walking into the bank. This has been life-shattering for me.
And I feel like now I've lost my mom, and now I've lost my dad, because most parents don't do that, so.
No, parents are supposed to keep you away from trouble.
Yeah, that's hard to deal with, to grasp onto.
It's 2013, and I sit down with Scott Catt for a series of interviews for 2020 while he's awaiting trial. Scott.
A little more to your right, just a little more.
Everybody good?
And we're rolling.
What I'm struggling with is how your kids got involved, how they are sitting in jail right now. Is that a mistake? Is that an error in judgment? Or is that just, what is that?
It's all of the above, you know. It's probably an error in judgment on all of us, and especially my part.
You're sacrificing your children for your own needs. So are we looking at some sort of a narcissistic personality, antisocial personality, borderline personality, maybe a combination of all of those things?
When I went to interview them, Scott said I would only rob banks for my family.
He wants you to believe that everything he does is in the interest of the entire family unit. That is really a bunch of baloney. This was in his blood. This guy possesses an addict's brain and a sociopath's soul.
What would your mother have said about all of this?
It probably never would have happened if my mother was here.
What would Beth say, your first wife? What would she say about you dragging your kids into, as you said, your
I
cesspool?
can't even imagine. Can't even imagine. I'm really ashamed.
You would expect that a father who's convinced his kids to join in a bank robbery would, after they get caught, say, look, I'll take the heat. And that's how he starts.
If you were offered a deal where you had to spend 25, 30, 40 years in prison in exchange for both of your kids going free, would you take it?
For them going free? Absolutely.
What about life in prison?
Sure.
But as time goes on, he starts talking to them about what they can do to help him.
And even though all three of them are locked up in the Fort Bend County Jail, they're all in separate cell blocks, and the only way they can communicate is by handwritten letters. At this point, Abby's lawyer gives us letters that Scott sent his kids. Now, apparently, he was trying to encourage his kids to do hard time so that he can do less of it.
A month later,
hey Scott, how are you?
I speak to Scott again. This time, I'm allowed to be face to face.
Let's go.
All right, rolling. Why don't you read something for me? This is your letter to Abby, by the way.
Where did you get this?
We wrote this to Abby. As long as you, Abby, are ready to do some time, I think it will better my chances, I hope. Here you are asking her essentially to do time for you.
I was trying to manipulate. I'm trying to get something.
Who are you manipulating?
I'm trying to get everybody something that they can live with.
You told me that you would be willing to spend life in prison in order that your kids do not spend time in prison. You got your kids involved in this, and you're asking them to do time for you. It says it right here. I do believe that you doing prison time will be good for me, and I know that wasn't an easy choice for you.
And that's what she said to me in the previous letter, that she was willing to do that.
Wouldn't most parents say, I will take the entire blame here?
I would love to, but they have so much evidence on everybody that what are we supposed to do?
Again, it seems like Scott is manipulating his kids and us. He encourages Abby to talk more about his addiction and his dual life. Why does he do that? To gain sympathy. You tell your daughter. So if and when you do your interview, exaggerate about me, tell them I led a dual life involving drugs, alcohol, and women, and we can with them a little. Haha.
It was a joke. I was joking around.
Everything that he was doing and telling them was all for the sake of himself, for his own image.
He has done research on what would make them have a better story to sell. So being a drug addict, being an alcoholic, your audience would look at that and excuse it and maybe feel sorry for him.
You clearly told your kids to manipulate us, just like you were manipulating them.
I wanted to get some sort of movement on my case. I was going to do anything to get that.
I'm just so angry about what this dad did to his children. Angry as I am at Scott Tapp, there was a moment I broke down in tears. And that is when, against all the rules, the sheriff allowed Hayden and Abby to see each other.
A serial bank robber who disturbingly recruited his own son and daughter to help him during a string of holdups has learned his fate.
Scott would have almost certainly been convicted at trial. He was facing up to 99 years.
He would have been convicted on all counts and got a maximum sentence. He did a very smart thing, taking a plea deal.
How do you plead to the offense?
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
I hereby find you guilty of the offense of aggravated robbery, which is a first-degree felony.
Ronald Scott Catt took a deal to avoid trial and the potential of life in prison. He was sentenced to 24 years behind bars.
After the sentencing, a reporter asked Scott about the
impact that his actions have had on his kids, and he seems to get genuinely emotional.
They're pretty strong. And they'll be fine. It won't be easy for them, but they've worked hard. They know how to do
it. Hayden Catt took his own plea deal and was sentenced to 10 years behind bars.
Well, what do you expect prison life to be like?
Hell. As close to hell on earth as you can get.
Abby took a plea deal for 5 years behind bars.
How do you plead to the offense?
5 years for an aggravated robbery conviction is a good deal for her. It's clear that prosecutors and the judge believed she was the least culpable of the three.
It breaks my heart that ultimately I'm the one that sent my sister to prison.
Do you think that you two can be close again after this?
Oh, this will never come between me and my sister.
And she forgives you?
I haven't asked her to forgive me. I think that the possibility that she might not is too scary a thought for me to think about.
If your father were right here, Hayden, what would you say to him?
I'd tell him that I forgive him and that I don't want him to carry this burden around with him for the rest of his life.
And his sister tells me she feels the same way. Is what your dad did to you, is that forgivable?
I've forgiven him.
You have forgiven him?
I have to forgive him so I can start to live a normal life. I don't want hate, anger, any of that in my heart.
Now, the three of them, father, son, and daughter, are in the same jail, but they're separated. And for Abby, who tells me that her brother is her best friend and her soulmate, being separated from Hayden is devastating.
I think we both hate to see each other in this situation. And there's just nothing we can do for each other, I feel like I can't help him and I can't comfort him, and that makes me sad.
Okay, I want to show you something. So as we're sitting there interviewing Abby, we've got a surprise for her. Okay, so, boom. Just boom it. So you may notice something's happening.
Yeah.
Sheriff Troy Nels makes this unprecedented gesture. He's allowing Abby and Hayden to meet. This just doesn't happen. So, with the help of the sheriffs, we asked if we might be able to bring Hayden in here for you to see him. If you're okay with that. I thought you might like that. So they're going right out, and he's gonna sit here. Look at that smile. How long has it been since you've seen him?
Since I've talked to him, a year.
Jailhouse rules are strict. Hayden is brought in shackled hands and feet, and the rules say no touching. But Hayden and Abby just can't seem to help themselves.
Hi, Abby.
Can you?
Are you doing okay?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just happy to see you.
Yeah, me too. Abby, I'm sorry, okay?
I don't blame you for anything, Hayden. Just know that I love you forever.
I love you too.
I don't blame you for anything. Nothing.
Okay.
And I want you to know that.
Okay.
We can see the future now, at least.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be okay. Yeah. And we'll get to be normal brother and sister again.
Right.
I love you.
I love you too.
Can I give him a hug?
No, I can't hug you.
No?
No. It's gonna be a long time until I see you.
I know. I'm glad.
I know I can take care of myself, so I just worry about you, Abby.
I'm fine.
Okay.
And then we get the sign from the sheriff. They can hug. You guys want to give each other a hug? The sheriff says it's okay.
Really?
Oh.
It could be 10 years before they see each other again. And if you listen closely, that's the sound our mics pick up of their hearts beating.
When I heard that heartbeat, I said to myself, please, please, somehow let them move ahead and break the chains of that father and live to have happy lives.
Gonna be okay.
I know.
It's just gonna be a couple of years until I can see you.
When they asked me, is it okay for Abigail to hug her brother Hayden, I felt, why not? She needed that. They were kind of desperate souls there at that point in time.
I don't want you to go.
I know.
Thank you for the hug. I needed it.
I know. All right, we're gonna have to come back. All right, Abby, be strong, okay?
I love you.
Abby, I love you too. I'll see you soon.
Okay, bye.
Allowing them to touch and hug that way, I felt was in many ways the beginning of some sort of a healing. There is a life thread between those two kids and even between the two kids and their father still.
You know how a lot of people see a program on television and they go, oh, that's so sad, and then they forget about it? That's not what happened.
Turns out a 2020 viewer who actually works at the jailhouse saw the program.
Tonight on 2020, the unbelievable story of a father who turned his own kids into hardcore criminals.
Saw Abby and decided to open up her heart and her house to her, taking her in after her sentence was up.
Abby, this is your new house.
Fairy tale ending, right? Not quite.
Let me tell you something about the prison system. You do not want to end up in a Texas prison. The temperatures go up over 100. When they say hard time, they mean hard time.
After their sentencing, Scott and Hayden are shipped off to a Texas state prison. And Abby was almost sent to state prison as well.
But then, in a real act of mercy, Fort Bend County Sheriff Nails did something pretty incredible. He arranged for Abby to stay in the local jail.
I just feel that she's more of a victim in this, and I'm going to do my part to try to help see her become a productive member of society.
So this was a really good break for Abby Catt, not to have to go to state prison and deal with hardened criminals.
We had her enrolled in the GED program. She was learning how to sew. We were doing everything we could to set her up for success. It takes a little bit of time, too, to learn this, doesn't it?
Yes, but I learned very fast, and we get a lot done in here.
I don't think it's every day that you see a sheriff intervene and say, listen, have some mercy here.
Can I check your work?
To go out on a limb for a double bank robber, that never happens.
So here's a second chance, another opportunity for you.
And I thank you for that.
So make me proud
Yes,
while you're
sir,
here.
I will.
All right? All right, very well.
Thank you. I've been here for just over 2.5 years. Since the last time you saw me, a lot has changed. emotionally, I'm doing a little bit better. And I have become a better and stronger person in here.
Abby apparently had no visitors while she was in jail. But her aunt and grandmother traveled from Oregon to the jail in Texas to visit Abby, and that's the first time they have seen her in 3 years.
It was so emotional seeing Abby.
Look at you.
I had so much hope for her, and all I could do was just give her a big hug and tell her how much we loved her.
Oh, I love you.
But this visit is also a cause for celebration because Abby learns that she got parole, and that means she's going to be released in just a few months.
Do you know how lucky you are?
Yes.
Okay.
You've been given an opportunity here that many others don't ever get to start a new life.
Abby's new life on the outside is going to start with a woman she met on the inside, a volunteer sewing teacher named Susie Gregory.
See how you...
Now, Susie Gregory is a married mother of 2 grown sons.
And she watches the original 2020 piece.
I believe he feels remorse, but he still didn't have my best interest through all of this.
Becomes very emotional about it. And she was open enough to try to give Abby a second chance.
We watched the 2020 show, and I said, this is just wrong. She should not be in jail for this. And I just felt like God put me in that sewing room for Abby. I couldn't balance robbing banks, driving a getaway car with the sweet little girl in the jail. They didn't equate. There was something wrong with that equation. I said, how would you feel if I would find someone in our church that would be willing to take you in when you got out? She said, well, could I meet them first? And I said, well, I was kind of thinking about Steve and I. And she said, oh, I would love that. Thank you. welcome.
It's pretty extraordinary that a volunteer sewing teacher at the county jail finds it in her heart to open her home to Abby. Gives you hope about the human race.
To put herself out there, to try to help Abigail, just incredible. Not anyone would just do that. It's an amazing story. Abigail Cat will be released today, and it's an exciting time for her. So this is a big day, a new beginning. Go ahead. We've been that they finished one. Well, 2 years and 10 months. I walked her out of the facility and told her, "You have a second chance." I believe I even told her not to let me down. I put myself out there for her, like several other people did as well. I gave her my phone number, said, "Abby, call me anytime."
I feel great. I'm ready to go.
It was the first day of the rest of her life. She had people who really cared about her. She had a plan to go to college. She really wanted to do the right thing.
So who are you calling now?
Everybody.
Everybody. Time to go home.
The idea that Susie took her in, there's a certain risk with that.
Yay, we're home. Finally.
Abby, this is your new house. And here's your room. Make yourself at home.
It's not uncommon for people like Abby to get out of jail and in a short period of time stumble.
Abby did well after being released from jail, and then I think her demons started to creep in.
Abby's future looked so bright. It didn't work out that way at all. And I put the blame squarely at her father, Scott Katz's feet.
In your wildest dreams, did you think that within a year you'd be back in doing time?
No.
It's been years since I've last seen Abby, and the last time we saw her, we thought that things were looking up. Well, it didn't turn out that way.
The last time we saw Abby, she was walking into a loving home with everything mapped out for her to start all over again.
Take me back to 2015. What was it like living with Susie?
It was amazing in some areas. In other areas, it was so different.
What was different about it?
Some of the rules, and
You just came from jail. Could any rules be any worse than the jail?
Right, but I didn't want any rules.
Our number one requirement was that she attend church on Sunday morning. We said, school night, you really need to be in by 10 o'clock because you're going to have to get some homework done. On the weekends, you need to be home by midnight. Those were our rules. And she just started not coming home at all at night, or coming home at 2 or 3 in the morning.
My problem is that the only people that I knew were the people I had met in the jail. I'm bored. I need someone to hang out with. And slowly that kind of takes you down the wrong path.
Where did this wrong path lead you?
You know, maybe there was a little drugs involved here and there. Just the ripping and running.
After Abby was not coming home for several days on end, we told her we would change the locks if she didn't come home, and she didn't, so we changed the locks.
I would say in the end, I just left.
It was really hard. I really considered Abby to be the daughter of my heart. We let her see a family that cared for each other, that didn't rob banks. But it just seems like the more I reflect on it, I feel like she just wasn't ready for it.
People think leaving prison, hallelujah, you're out, you're free, it's a new life, but people don't understand that's a whole different set of challenges trying to reintegrate back into society.
Abby ends up in Laredo, Texas. She gets a job driving a pilot car for wide loads.
Laredo's a border town, 150 miles south of San Antonio. Thousands upon thousands of trucks go by there every day.
And that's where you met Ricardo Gonzalez, right?
Yeah.
A little eye roll there.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I'm just going to say he's just not a good person.
When you look at Ricardo's rap sheet, which is really quite long, one after another arrest.
He's got convictions for theft, aggravated robbery,
terroristic threat of a family.
We all hung out and partied and...
Can I ask what that means? Because I'm 28, I don't even know what that means anymore.
Partied, you know, there's, well, obviously alcohol and maybe some cocaine and, you know, some weed, stuff like that. Whatever, I don't have another choice. You know, that's kind of how I felt. I don't have another choice. We'll see where this goes.
Where did it go?
Jail.
It's 1:30 a.m. in August 2016, and Abby goes with Ricardo Gonzalez to a Stripes gas station in Laredo.
I was high, passed out. I had parked at the Stripes while he was going to put gas in the car, and I ended up falling asleep right away.
What happens?
Next thing, I was woken up by the police knocking on my window. Pulled me out of the car and onto the ground and handcuffed me. So they say, do you realize that he's over here robbing people in the store? And I said, no, I didn't realize that. I'm sorry.
She ends up in the car with a guy who allegedly holds somebody at gunpoint.
Well, that's clearly a parole violation. Clearly, she's back in trouble again. Come on. Wow. Deja vu. All over again.
Ricardo pleads not guilty to aggravated robbery, and his trial is scheduled this fall.
Abby is never indicted for the holdup at the gas station. However, she has violated her parole.
She had not been regularly reporting to her parole officer for the previous crime.
And she gets held in this jail for over a year. When you're sitting in that jail in Laredo, did you think about Sheriff Nels? And you know, you had promised him that you'd stay on track.
Of course.
Didn't that go through your mind?
Of course. And not just him, but everybody that was involved. And myself, too. I was disappointed in myself, just as much as everybody else was disappointed in me. But it's always better to be in jail than it is to be dead.
Did you ever think growing up that that's the kind of thing that you would say to yourself in your head? It's better to be in jail than being dead?
Oh, no. I would always say I would never go to jail.
What happened was reality. It's not an easy fix. But going back to a behavior that is inappropriate is really just part of the long healing process.
The person who has set all of this in motion, Scott Catt, declined to do another interview with us. But Abby says that she has visited him in prison and still forgives him.
I think sometimes I blame myself more than him.
But he invited you to go on a bank heist.
I know he loves me. I know he loves me as his daughter. So it's hard sometimes to really get what happened.
How often do you think about your brother?
Every day, yeah. Both of them every day. I'm definitely waiting on them to get out.
If you could send a message to Hayden, what would you say?
I love you.
Anything else?
No, just I love you. Waiting on him to come home, for sure. Waiting on Hayden to come home. I just want him to be okay when he gets out, because I know how hard it was for me. Just worry about him, because he's really got to be strong when he gets out. He has no idea. He has to be so strong. Life out here is just different from in there.
Right after our interview with Abby, we got a chance to bring her together again with Sheriff Troy Nels, who tried so hard to help her after her first arrest.
I want to have an opportunity to say a few things to her.
Now turning into the small road that leads to this prison in the middle of, it's like prairie land. It's been about 6 years since I last saw Hayden. He had just taken a plea deal for a 10-year prison sentence. And I'm here to see how he's doing behind bars.
Aiden.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. You're looking good.
Thank you.
Very tan.
Been working outside. Feel good.
How's things?
Great, actually.
Really?
Yes, sir.
I mean, last time we spoke, about almost 6 years ago, you said that you expected prison to be as close to hell on earth as anything you can imagine.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like it's been that.
Not at all. You know, I came in here very lost, very broken. In here, I found a piece that was missing. I found a faith in Christ. I feel more free and I feel more alive in here than I did out in the world. And I see now that I was basically the walking dead out there.
You know, in many ways, your father was with you but abandoned you. Still, the last time we spoke, you were pretty forgiving of him. Do you feel the same way now?
I do. You know, I think that he did the best job with me and Abby that he could. He lost his way, that's for sure.
Have you been in contact with him?
Usually every week, through our letters.
What do you talk about?
I think that he's found the same faith and redemption that I have here as well.
Do you really think he's changed?
I do.
What about Abby? Have you kept up with your sister?
You know, I don't hear from Abby as much as I would like to, but I love her so much. And I can't wait to show her what these 6 years have meant to me.
Do you think that Abby can turn her life around?
Absolutely. The best thing that we have right now is we're both young and we've learned huge life-shattering lessons at a young age. I really feel like it's put us ahead of our peers.
You feel like you're ahead of your peers?
Absolutely. So in the next 3 years, I'll be going home and I can't wait for it. I'm going to attack life with everything I got.
As for Abby's future, there is big news in her life. She's now 25 years old and she went to work in a fish processing plant. There, she met her now boyfriend, Trenzel, and they're now expecting a baby.
Look at that!
Yeah,
That's amazing! Do we know the gender?
Oh boy. I'm 6.5 months pregnant currently with my first child. Everything changes once you find out you're pregnant. You can't be selfish anymore, that's for sure.
I think she's gonna be a very wonderful mother. Too easy, probably.
I don't go to the store to buy myself things anymore. I go to the store to buy him things, and that feels so awesome. That's cool.
We had a chance to reunite Abby with the sheriff who helped her years ago.
Can I give you a hug?
I just want to see a bright future for you.
I just wanted to tell you I thank you for everything that you have done for me. Obviously, I let a lot of people down, and I apologize to you if that was embarrassing to you. I learned from it all, and I came out a stronger woman, and I thank you for believing in me then and believing in me now.
Abby's aunt has invited Abby to live with her once her baby's born. You seem to have had so many chances, right? Mm-hmm. With Sheriff Nels, with Susie. What makes you think it's going to actually be different this time?
My son and my relationship. Those are two things that I can't lose. So that's it.
You're saying the stakes are too high this time?
Yeah, I have too much. There's two people that need me. You start to put your life into perspective and like the person you are and the people you want to be around. And now we just have our son and he's gonna be with us and that's all we need.